All right, show and tell. Let's start with the fellows online here. Mort, what do you have to show us this month?
I'm sorry.
Do you have anything to show us, Mort?
No, I haven't started anything. I'm waiting to get a model of the Constitution to restore from an old client, but no, I don't have anything yet.
And more, you did finish your father-in-law's boat.
Yes, I did. It's gone. I did finish it. It was a 40-year-old model of the Swift that he started and never finished. So I finished it for him. And my son has it in his office now. It had to be rigged, cleaned up, and I reorganized the deck houses. It's a great first model. It was the first model I ever made, and I had forgotten how nice it was. It's just a great basic model. It's a great way to introduce someone to our hobby.
Was that his first model?
Yes, it was the first model. We both started Swifts together. And since I got into model shipbuilding, he thought it would be a great hobby for him. So he bought a kit also, but he never finished it. He passed away before he could finish it. And that's how I met Frank, from the Swift. My wife knew someone who knew Frank. And because I screwed up 2 hulls. Model Expo gave me all the parts for a second hull, and I promptly screwed that up also. And then you can't make it up. I was introduced to Frank, and he told me about wood filler and wood putty, and that's what got me going. And we were friends ever since.
That's Frank Bastini.
Yeah.
All righty, well, thanks.
Well, you've come a long way since that first one, Mort. Your victory was beautiful.
He'd be
All righty.
proud.
Doug, you have anything for us?
Yeah, I don't have anything. I had hip replacement surgery 2 weeks ago. So I'm still in a state of recovery here, quite frankly. And I haven't done much of anything except maybe watch TV and do some reading.
Well,
Okay.
at least you're thinking about it.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's been a little crazy the last 2 weeks.
All right, who's next? John, how about you? John?
Yeah, I got something.
All right, very good.
Let me get there we go. I'm working on the Berry. It's a pretty large scale. It's a World War I/II destroyer. It's from Blue Jacket, and making some progress on it. I have quite a ways to go, but it's coming along.
What's that hull number, John?
It's 248.
Have you run into any problems with it, the kit, or?
No, not at all. Not at all. No,
Is
it's
it
a really good model. And, as usual, the folks there at Blue Jacket are just a pleasure to work with. So got questions, you get a hold of Nick and they'll get resolved quickly. Good outfit.
It's a solid hull.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It takes quite a while, obviously, with the size that it is. It's a, what is that, about 36, 38 inches, something like that. It's pretty good size. So takes a long time to get the hull shaved down with the templates and so forth, but time well spent. It's a nice model.
She looks nice.
Thank you.
So that's all, what, 1/8 inch scale?
I'm sorry?
That 1/8 inch scale?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, 1/8 inch. And it's part of my project. I wanted to build all the destroyers and destroyer escorts that they offer there at Blue Jacket. So this is the third one. Yeah, third one. I have a couple more to go yet.
Oh, good, good. Keep us up to date on that.
He's a solid hull expert.
Is that an armor belt on the side? On a destroyer? Rub line.
All righty, who does, let's see, who's next on the line here? How about, what happened to Lorenzo? He was just there a moment ago.
Yeah,
Just give me a minute. I'm setting up my tripod.
Oh, okay. Fritz, do you have anything you want to show us?
I can show you what I completed recently. I'm just barely started. I do mostly World War II resin ships.
Okay,
And I just finished Royal Navy Dido class cruiser, Cleopatra. Let me swing around here and give you a shot of it.
Sure.
It's Iron Shipwrights model. I don't know if you can see it, but
maybe
I
a little,
started it quite a long time ago.
aim the camera a little lower. There you go.
a little more.
A little more.
A little more.
More. There you go.
Very nice.
It'd been laying around for a few years because a lot of the detail stuff was kind of lousy. But with the new 3D printed parts, I was able to replace a lot of the small weaponry and the searchlights and the radar, things like that. So it made it a lot more detailed, if you will. But
Interesting.
I do mostly, like I said, World War II. I do a lot of Royal Navy. I like the color schemes.
Beautiful job with the camouflage.
What's that?
Is that airbrushed?
No, that was hand painted. I can't airbrush that kind of.
Very impressive.
Thank you.
Very nice.
But like I said, those detail parts are really nice. The 3D.
What is that?
I
cool
also
clock on the
have
wall?
Salt Lake City here, USS Salt Lake City, which is in the process. I have a lot of extra work to do on it. The aircraft have to be added, some of the 20mm guns. That one, again, has been sitting around for a while, but I guess because I'm living here, I figured I'd do a tribute to the city. But that's a few of the things. I'm working right now on a Abdil class mine layer from I guess the old White Ensign models, and I just barely started doing some conversion work on that to get it to the configuration it was at the time I wanted to build a ship. But that's kind of what I do.
All right, thank you. All righty. Mr. Lorenzo, I see you're up and running.
Yeah. Do you want me to share screen?
If you have something to share.
Yeah. I'm disabled from sharing.
Okay.
Your screen in the middle.
Oh, the green.
Yeah.
Can you enable me to share?
Hopefully that did it. Let's see.
Hang on.
Another advance, maybe?
Why is it not picking up my?
You're sharing.
Yeah, but it's not sharing the. I've run into this problem before. Let me
Unshare, highlight it, and share again.
see. It's not picking up my camera. It's picking up my application.
Oh, okay.
So I've not figured this one out yet. And anyway, that little thumbnail up in the top is cheerful. I'm back I resurrected cheerful after my false start on Winchelsea. There you go. And I'm working on the rigging the cannons, which is driving me absolutely crazy because they're, even at quarter scale, they're a bit tedious to work. There's only 12, which I'm thankful for, our guns on the deck, but I'm working on all the rigging for those cannons, and I'm getting pretty close to finishing up detailing and adding the rigging. So I'm on my way. I had an episode in January, some of you are aware of. I ended up with shingles in my eye and made a balls of the Winchelsea that I was working on. So I ended up purchasing chapter 1 again, and I'm starting it all over. So I needed some measure of success, so I went back to my cheerful. And this is pretty close to completion, so I'm bound to finish it over the summer and restart Winchelsea in the fall. So that's where I am.
Joe, is that yellow cedar or box?
Box, this was one of the early, or the last of the boxwood kits. The deck is holly. The planking is box, and all the appointments are box. I turned all the masts, the spars, the boom. They're sitting there loosely. I tend to put the boom in last because it seems to get in the way a lot. So I'm holding off finishing that one. But as soon as I finish the cannon rigging, I will come more towards the center line of the model, and then finalize the boom rigging, and then finish the mast. So they're all done. They're just sitting waiting to be applied. That's where I am.
Are you brushing your paint on, or are you using airbrush, or?
I brushed on a copious number of coats of the you see that Windsor Newton in the foreground there, and as most of you do, I diluted it. The interesting thing is with char, it just does not cover. I don't know how many coats I've had to put on to make it cover. It just drives me crazy. Even when you sand it off, there's always a hint of the burnt on the raw wood, and coat after coat after coat is required to make it appearance-wise acceptable.
Laser char.
Yeah, I ran into the same problem with the Siren and with Winchelsea. I used the same paint as you, and yeah, it's tons. I think on the Siren, I must have 20 coats of red on the interior just to get a uniform red because it is so transparent. It takes forever, lots of sanding and lots of recoating to get it to be just a solid red.
Yeah, ad nauseum.
What's the drying time on that?
It's fairly quick, actually. I think it's like about 10, 15 minutes, and it's fairly
Okay.
dry. I mean, you do want to set, if you're going to sand, you want to let it set up overnight, but I can put on several coats in a few hours, but the red is very translucent. The black works really well. I use their black as well, the Mars black, but the red is just very transparent. It shows the grain and everything. It just takes a lot of coats. It's annoying, as I think Joe said.
How about using like a standing sealer or type of seal or seal the grain before you paint it.
I've done that, put a sanding sealer
Oh,
on,
yeah.
like wipe on poly.
Yeah, or
And-
there's a couple different things you can use, yeah. It
And
seems like that might.
it seems like that, when you put a thin coat of paint, it doesn't stick for me.
Oh, it doesn't.
Yeah.
So I prefer paint over just the wood and let it soak in and build.
Exactly. That's the same way I found as well. With the hardest, the Winsor Newton paint, if you try to like put a sealer on it, it just comes
It
right off.
just, yeah.
Even if you used a real super fine, rough it. 1,000 grain.
I haven't tried that with.
Just rough it just a little
I
I
bit.
assumed the primer would give it enough of a texture, but it doesn't.
Yeah. Yeah, so actually,
Yeah, that's what the wipe on poly is oil based and.
The only thing I thought about trying, and I haven't done it yet, is maybe using artist Caesar, so the same stuff they use to prep the canvas. I haven't tried that, but I had thought about it. And I do the Winchelsea's cannons. I may do that.
Try
because
a chunk of wood,
as
play with it
Joe
first.
said, there's a lot of char on that. I don't want to sit there and have to keep, sanding. I'll destroy more cannons than worth if I do that. So I might try a seasoning method.
Joe, did you
Yeah.
blacken the carronades?
I'm sorry?
Did you blacken the carronades? So they look really nice.
They actually, you know what I did by mistake, and I kind of like it. I used what's the Japanese? Just a minute, hang on. It's gunmetal.
Guns.
Tamiya.
Okay,
I used
Maya.
Tamiya, but I said, let me try it. Let me see what it looks like. And at first I didn't like it, but it's a little shiny. Well, most of you know what gunmetal looks like on a barrel of a gun, but it's not as blue. It's more of a grayish black, and I kind of liked it. Now, whether it's authentic or not, it in appearance came out well. So it was a spray on using their metal primer, and then using that gunmetal black, they call
Very
Nice model.
it. Thank you. That's it.
All righty. Tom, how about you? Making any progress?
Yeah, I'm going to share screen if I may.
Oh, okay.
All right, you see that?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm working on a model of the Titanic for a friend of mine. And I'm into making vents and fans and flues because the kit parts are abysmal. Now, I am using some of the kit parts and modifying them, but the other problem is that many of the kit parts are the wrong style fan or the motor's on the wrong side. And also there are several vents and fans that are missing or shown in the wrong place. So I think I told you folks last time, Bob Reed is a dentist, DMD. The website is titanic-cad-plans.com. And on there's a full set of plans, also a full set of drawings for every single vent and fan on the ship, and a location drawing as well. So, and then there are about 21 research papers that Dr. Reed had written. And it's interesting because it's a general copyright Anyone could use anything that he has on his website. You just have to attribute it to him, and you can't use it for commercial purposes. So what you see on the screen now is these are the if you probably can you see this white hand here? These are the numbers of the vents on Bob Reed's location plan, and these are my modifications to the fans and the vents. This one here is interesting because this one is a vent that dumps into another vent. The kit part is a piece of plastic that's probably 3 times the size it's supposed to be. So I just have it stuck in, because what I'm doing with this now is I have them all taped down, and this is my, when I get a bunch more done, I have about 13 left to do. When I get them all done, then I'm going to airbrush them. These ones over here on the left side with the cowl vent incorporated, those are those 3D printed cowl vents. Now remember, this is 1 to 350. So what you're looking at the screen is probably way over scale. And you'll note on this cowl vent where my pointer is, you'll note that the inside, the trunk, is actually hollow. There is no way that you could do this with casting in the 1 to 350 scale. There's no way that you could do this by hand. This is just phenomenal. The downside to 3D print that I will tell you is they're extremely brittle, extremely brittle. You have to be very careful with them. Okay, I'll give you a few other pictures. All right, this is the forecastle. These crane booms are photo etched. They're photo etched from Tom's model work. This skylight is also photo etched. You know here, these are steam-driven pumps. I'm sorry, steam-driven winches. And you note here, this white stuff, this is the pipe chase for the steam pipes that supply these steam winches. These were white castings these were white styrene castings, which I don't even think is styrene. It was more like nylon than styrene. But the axles for the drums scaled out to about 4.5 feet in diameter. 48 inches in diameter, which obviously they're not. So I cut them off, and then I turned the drums on my lathe using a brass tube. You'll note here the base of the stack. These are photo etched, but you'll notice these two here, I modified those from kit parts, more vents. Okay, this is around midships. Dr. Reed's research is incredible because Dr. Reed will tell you what the appearance was of the expansion joints. There were 2 expansion joints running athwart ships on the Titanic. The aft one is where the hull separated when the ship was going down. But he will show you how they were supposed to appear on deck, on the walls, and also on the side of the ship. They didn't look the same in all 3 places. Here's the skylight for the grand staircase. You could just see that. You could see the canopy inside. These are what's called fiddly vents. All of these vents here, 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 you could see the cowls that are added on, 3D printed cowls. Something to mention, you see at the base of this here, one of the issues with the Minicraft kit, which was the Academy kit, was that it was built around the plans for the Olympic. The Olympic and the Titanic are sisters, but they're no way identical. So what happened here is that on the Olympic, this part of the deck, you could see my pointer, this part of the deck was actually an empty space, and then you had a vent going down to the deck below. On Titanic, it goes straight across. So these decks that I purchased, these decks that it could be laminated on, they're wonderful, but two things that you got to be real aware of. One thing is, although they're extremely thin, in 1:350 scale, it scales out to 6 inches. So 6 inches in 1:350 is pretty significant. So you got to take that into account when you stack these decks together. And the second thing is that it was pre-cut to the locations of the fans and vents and deck structures that are in the kit. And many of those places are incorrect. So here you see I pieced something together. It looks horrible, so I'm just going to put it in the wrong place because the person I'm building this model for won't know the difference anyway. Another thing is it comes with pre-drilled holes. They're all in the wrong place and the wrong configuration, and they're also way over scale. So this is a template that I made from Bob Reed's plans that shows the water supplies and returns going from the tank room, which is on both sides of this room. In the middle is the casing for one of the engines, for the turbine engine. But you could see here, I put this template on so I could drill the holes in the correct spot. And then I left it in place because what I'm going to do is I'm going to make wire, which are going to follow this template, and they all attach to the stack, to the funnel. This is the base for funnel number 4. Funnel number 4 had nothing to do with the engines. Funnel number 4 was a vent for the galley and from the smoke rooms, believe it or not. So what's going to happen with this is these things here, these two vents, and this what's supposed to be a fan unit are completely wrong and in the wrong place. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be cutting these off. Now, to get this correct, I didn't bring it up here today. Okay, this I'll make out of styrene. They're both identical. You could see on the kit part, they're nowhere near the same, and they also got rounded corners. Understanding that this is casting something that meets together at a 90-degree angle, a sharp point is very difficult to do. So that's why this is rounded. It looks horrible. What's also interesting about this is this vent, this ductwork terminates in the base of the funnel. So obviously it's not that way here. So I'll be cutting these off and redoing those in scratch. On here, this is the second class entrance, and this is the enclosure for the elevator structure. It was double the width that it's supposed to be, so I had to cut it down. Now, the kit supplies monofilament for rigging. It's way oversized. So what I'm doing, and the other thing they want you to do is they want you to thread it through the deck as you're putting the model together and knot it underneath. The holes are way oversized. It looks horrendous. So what I did is I closed up all the holes, and you see this little black loop here. What I did is I got number 8 fly tying string. I knotted it, and then what I did is I drilled a tiny hole. I shoved the knot into the hole, and I put cyano on top of it. Now, all of the rigging was galvanized wire rope, so it's going to be gray. But down the bottom of some of them, you had hemp seizings for the guide wires for the funnels, but you had turnbuckles every place else. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to thread it through here and pull it snug and knot it. And when I pull it snug, I tried it out, it collapses on itself and it looks like a turnbuckle, which is good. And then finally, all right, this is the poop deck. Now the poop deck, the areas here are the basis for cranes, just like this. There'll be 2 cranes here. You see these holes in the deck, okay? Those are skylights to the deck below. They're completely incorrect. So I'm going to be scratch building skylights to put here. And then on top of here, these are 2 vent posts, and this is a stair column. And above it goes the docking bridge. And all these other holes are for capstans. And the capstans that come with the kit are about 3 times the size they should be. And instead of being circular, they're oval. So I'm going to be cutting those from brass rod. And that's about it. I'm having a lot of fun with it. And it's going to go to a new home. I got to give you a kudos to you guys for putting me on to Model Monkey. Model Monkey has completely assembled 3D printed funnels, all 4 of them. They are exquisite. And what I'm going to do with the guy wires is I'm going to, in 1:350 scale, even in 3D printing, you can't get the eye bolts. They're just too small. And once you put any tension on them, you'll probably break them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill a number 79 hole where the eye bolt would be. I put cyano, stiffen the end of fly tying thread, stiffen the fly tying thread, stick it in the hole, put a drop of cyano on top of it, and that holds it in the funnel. And then all along here, there are places where this hemp lashing goes. And again, I'm using Bob Reed's plans, and I'm copying it down to 350. And what I do is I just lay it along the deck, tape it with Tamiya masking tape so it doesn't pull up the deck, tape it with my Tamiya masking, and I use that as a template. And like I say, the amount of information on the Titanic is outstanding. It's a shame the ship only lasted about a month, but I guess if it lasted more than a month, there wouldn't be as much outstanding detail on it. So and here you see the vents. So I got a bunch in. Like I said, I probably got about a dozen more to do, and I'll update you guys next month. And let's stop sharing.
All right, thanks, Tom.
All right, you're well. Any questions?
I went to that website you were referring to, and it really was a wealth of information on that.
Yeah.
That man covered every inch of that ship, I think.
What's incredible about it is even if you have no interest in the ship or building a model of it, the detailed investigations and studies that he did, because not only does he do Titanic, he also does Olympic and Britannic, comparing the 3 against each other. And it's really, really enlightening. If you enjoy research and history, just reading the research papers are pretty interesting.
Is he a model maker also?
I have no idea. He's a dentist, but I don't know if he's a model maker.
Tom, what was that site again, please, on the research on the Titanic?
Titanic-CAD-plans.com. Plan.com.
Titanic hyphen,
Titanic-CAD-plan.com. I mean,
Thank you.
not hyphen. Well, yeah, hyphen dash. Yeah.
okay. Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All
That's
righty.
always of interest to me, how those 3 vessels compared to each other structurally and so forth. Thank you.
All righty, Sean. You're up next. Come on down.
So here's, do I have to turn this? Okay, so this is where I'm at this month with Earl/Winchelsea. So I've got the upper starboard side planking completed. So I'll put in working on the port side. I ended up the lower, I think they're called the sheets for the lower courses, the blocks for them. I put them in. but they're actually in the way the kit was designed. They're just a dummy shiv inside the block. I actually carved that out, and I actually put in brass shivs that I milled down on my lathe. And could you bring up the pictures that I gave you? Possible to share? That actually will show them.
The USB there.
So this is just a kind of,
Can y'all see that online?
No,
Camera's too
No.
low.
You need to share maybe. But
You see it there?
Camera
No.
is too low.
are you sharing from here?
Your camera is pointing at the model and not the screen.
Okay, right. It's showing up on the screen here.
Here, you need to share. Share screen.
there you go. Just click there.
You see it there?
yes, perfect.
Okay, so this is, again, shot that's similar to what I'm showing here in the room. Go to the next one. Just a couple more shots of that side completed.
Arrow on the keyboard. Oh, that's it.
John, did you make that finger jig to hold the keel, or is that?
I
what?
did, yes. Yeah, I did make that. I actually kind of stole the images from a build on Nautical Ship World. This actually, I cropped the picture so you don't see it, but it's actually a large build stand that has drawers underneath where I can put some of the parts I'm working on or some tools in it to keep this is actually a good shot from the fact that I cleaned up before I took the pictures. It's usually not this clean. But all of the uprights that clamp the keel in came from Siren Model Company, but the ones holding in the actual keel square, I made those myself, and then I wrapped them all in felt to protect the kit.
They really look good.
Thank you. So a close up of the bow. With again, the way I'm doing the model, the planking is all maple that I've actually milled from lumber that John gave me. That his mom had one time tried to make a maple cutting board, and he gave me the wood from that project, and I've been milling it down, and this is the results. The keel and the stem are cherry, as is the riding bits in the front. Those are also cherry, so that's why you can see a slightly different tone and color. Next one.
Did
So
you
here's
make those riding bits or did they come like that?
so the way the kit comes out, it's just a flat cutout. You have to actually carve the upper portions, and then so the way they sit in the hull, it's actually trapezoidal. They come as just a square cutout, and you got to sand them to trapezoid and then carve the upper part of the bit. And these are attempts 3 and 4. The first 2 attempts, the trapezoid got more rhombus looking than trapezoidal. So these, like I said, these were 3 and 4.
It's very nice.
So aft end, again, you can see here, there's a picture in here that'll actually show the shivs inside the blocks better, but there's the aft mizzen block with its shiv in there, and it's actually, it is actually turned with a slight groove in it to take the line. But you can see here too where the planking, I've changed the elevation of the planking to suit the run. bad camera angle because you can see one of my mistakes on a gun port. It'll get covered up though. Next one. Here's the double for the main. You can see the groove in the shiv for that. Next one. And then this should be the last one. And here's the finished block before I installed it into the model. So you can see the two double shivs there. And the pin in the center is so that I can remove the shivs out of it while I'm running the planking and sanding the planking smooth, so I don't mess up the shivs. And then I'll stick and glue it in permanently once I'm finished all the planking inside and out. That's what I got.
Really looks good.
Thank you.
I'm struck by how clean your planking is.
So
Nice, tight
it's
seams.
so this is a month's worth of effort. And I will tell you, I've removed and replaced many times. I keep a bottle of white vinegar on my billboard that I use with Q-tips to remove planks. In fact, so on both the starboard and port side, this particular plank on the lower run was quite the challenge. It's two curves, so there's a curve this way because the way the run of the whales is, it's a sort of an S bend, and so this has it curves this way, curves in and out, and then you got to cut it for each of those gun ports, and they're supposed to have a 1/32 reveal on the lower and the sides. And so I probably on each of the starboard and port side, I've probably done 6 attempts each before I got one that I was reasonably okay.
How do you get your 1/32 reveal? Do you have a jig?
I do. So on the siren, I had a plug that I put in and I tried to plank around it, but each port is slightly different. And so it didn't really turn out so well. So now I just have just a strip. It's plastic styrene. I use just a thick strip that sits on the inside on one side, and then a 1/32 overlay from that. So it just rests on the outer side, and then I run the plank up to it. That's one method. And then like in these ones, what I'll do is with the plank, I'll bring it up to the opening. I'll take a mechanical pencil, I'll mark it, sand it so that it follows the run of the upright. And then I'll just mark on the plank below a 1/32 over, and then I line it up that way, shift back and forth to get it to do that. So, but you could see on the starboard side in the pictures reveal all errors. There's some areas there that it didn't quite come out well.
But that's under extreme magnification.
That's what I'm hoping nobody will see. And the one bad port, the hinges will cover it up. So you'll never know it's there. I'll burn that picture.
Yes, but we have the recording.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
All right.
That's my one, Chelsea.
Good work.
Or Pearl, I hope. We'll see how the carvings come out.
All right, thanks. Who else has got stuff over here on this table? Oh, nobody else? Oh, I guess it's your turn, John. Oh, you want to keep going? Okay, no, John, all right, you're up. What is it?
The cameraman, I
John,
guess.
you can move on.
It's not in the way, but the camera's not in the way. Let's see what we got. Okay. I'm John, I'm a ship modeler. I modeled World War II US Navy warships, ships that fought in World War II. And they're all in 1/350th. And I'm reminded of a song by Styx in the early 80s that has a line in it, "These are the best of times, these are the worst of times." Because I've been working on this particular model that I'll show you some parts for a number of years. And I never thought I'd have that much patience, and I guess I don't, to take that long. But things have improved faster than I've been able to build the ship model. And I keep coming up against the edge of technology where things are now available that weren't available when I started building. The gent working on the Titanic and the fellow from Salt Lake City, we have a common bond in that there are certain things that when you start a kit, if you don't get it done pretty quick, then the detailed parts in the kit are now OBE, and you have to start off with a new technology. When I first got this Hornet kit as a resin model, anyway, I'll let it go at that. All of the parts that were detailed parts, with almost no exceptions, were cast metal. So the B-25s were cast metal. The ship's boats were cast metal. It just was inadequate. As time moved along, there came a model of the same ship that was in plastic. So the plastic parts got better and the molding was better. We went into a new generation of plastic modeling, and we're in yet another generation of plastic modeling. I have here, for those in the room, it'll be easier to see. Where are we? There we go. I have some 3D model parts here that I have modeled myself. These are the first test shots. And it gives you the opportunity when you get the first test shot to go back and say, how would I improve this? So this is, see, they're pretty rugged. There we go. Can you see that? Okay. So you can see things such as some of the rippling on some of the parts. I made the parts.
That's good.
Oh, well, cool. Pay no attention to the little man behind the screen. I was able to see what is too small. Some of these,
Point to the camera and it'll show up on the screen.
point to the camera.
I mean,
Point on camera. Point to the
You
part
mean
on
like
camera. There you
here?
go.
There you go.
Or here. Okay, here. Okay, so some of these parts, okay, I've got a mirror image problem here. You can see the rippling there. They're too thin. And it's resin that's cured with UV lights. So you kind of have to adjust the focus time and pick a time that's hard enough, quick enough, and slow enough so you don't get rippling or other things in the parts. Some of these parts here have the same issue because they're too thin. Actually, it doesn't matter because that portion of the casting is not going to be used anyway. This is the photo etch version of this. And you can see that, or I can see, I had trouble with my fingers. My fingers do not do what my brain tells them to do. You may have the same problem I do. So 3D printing turned out to be an excellent way to overcome the limitations of my hands personally. I can make 5,000 thick bulwarks for anti-aircraft guns, and most of these are that small. And that is under the size of photo etch gun tubs, for example. So I'm still learning how to do this. A week ago, I would have told you I'm close to throwing it in the bin. And then I had a series of things happen that suddenly things started turning out really well. People talk about 3D printing and they think that describes what the process is, but it isn't. The printing is cake. It's absolutely the simplest part of the whole process because there are so many things that are in place when you buy a printer, like the slicing software and a few other things, that it just goes poof. The real problem is the 3D rendering of the part. And I can tell you that it takes some work, but it's worth the effort because when you put in a square joint, it's a square joint. It's not my curved or twisted piece of plastic. This right here are a couple of initial shots using plastic stock to try and come up with a piece. This is the kit part. You can say they aren't even close to the same because this is from a sister ship, much like the Olympic and the Titanic thing. And this is the actual shape on Hornet. I'm sorry. This is the actual shape on Hornet is here. And now this right here is the final version of it. It's got a trunk on the top here where a director for the quad 1.1 inch gun sits. And then one of the tubs for the guns sits on the bottom on that round stock piece right here. This is what the kit part looks like for a 1.1 inch quad gun. And if you look at the pictures in the various reference material, this is actually what they look like. There's an inner ring where they put the clips for the guns. So you put the gun in, put the clip into the gun. It shoots 5 rounds, and you take the clip out and put a new clip in. So that was important to me to do that, but it was a bugger to try and figure out how to do it. One thing I like about this is kind of an advertisement for 3D printing. You can actually print things inside other things that you would have no way of printing in any other means. The fellow that was talking about the Titanic talked about that funnel, and then the downdraft part of it had been hollowed out. You can do that with 3D printing. You couldn't put a drill in there to do it because of the horn opening. You can, anyway. Now the final version of this also profits from people who are willing to take the gamble and produce parts. This is said 1.1 inch quad anti-aircraft gun. That is exactly what it looks like, only it's about this big. It's in scale. The gun barrels are tiny. The same goes for 20 millimeter. The 20 millimeter guns, they look exactly like that in one piece. They're even available in different elevations, so you don't have them all at parade rest. You can get them at as high as 80 degrees elevation. And the shield on these guns always is vertical. The gun barrel does this. So you can set them at different angles, and it's clear they're sky shots or they're depressed for close aboard. I'm going to try and put together, I think we'll find out if it's in July, but a step-by-step process, because this is not just limited to steel warships. There are applications in wooden ship modeling, and I'll try and lay out what my experience has been. It's really the rendering part that's the slow part of the process. I'm using an AutoCAD derivative, and man, oh man, I'm an engineer. I'm used to thinking like this, and it's still a bugger to get a handle on it. And the bottom line is that as these are the best of times, they are the worst of times. As we move through the technology for different kind of casting mechanisms and things like that, the software also evolves. The software that's available nowadays appears to be written for people that have 20 years of experience in that same kind of software. I don't. So sometimes there are steps missing. They say, do this, click this, and you never get that result. I found on the web a college professor who's a mathematician who talks about how to make 3D printing and how the rendering part of it works. The name of his process is called, I'm going to teach you how to do Fusion 360 or die trying. And he goes into all of these details. It's the first really easy to understand explanation of how some of these software packages work, like AutoCAD. Things that I wish I knew months ago, because I would have had a lot more hair left. If there are any questions, I'll stop here. But those of you who are in the room here can look at this in more detail. It's a work in progress, but I'm a lot further along than I was 2 weeks ago when things finally clicked. And I can say that this will make my Hornet April 1942 look like Hornet April 1942.
So the rippling effect that you experienced, what did you decide, what was the cause of that?
It's It's a combination of the resin not fully cured and the warmth of the UV lights allowing it to ripple because it's not reinforced. If you look at the gun tubs, there's no rippling at all in them,
Right.
and the sides are 5/1000ths of an inch.
So what did you have to adjust then to?
I haven't yet.
Oh, you haven't yet.
Haven't yet. This is the test case. It just can't. In fact, it's off gassing from the primer that I shot on it yesterday. That's how new it is. But there's also some bright shiny surfaces here, so I hit them with the primer to see if that's how they would
Sure.
look, and it works fine when you hit them with automotive primer. And that's really it. I can't think of anything else to take your time for.
Oh, good. I'll put you on speed.
Really looks good.
Thank you.
Got one question here.
Sure.
The other kits you have there in your hand, the box, what website is it?
This is
Bunkers?
Bunker Studio. Bunker Studio. And they make them in various sizes and scales. This is 1/350th. They actually make these 20 millimeter guns in 1/700.
They have other.
They do. They have other weapons and they have other parts. There's also Black Cat is another one in France. They have some awesome stuff. We're really launching into the next generation, whether you like it or not. Frankly, I think this makes the kit look museum quality, which wasn't possible for me personally with my hands before now.
All righty, thanks. What do you got to show us there?
Sad story.
Sad story.
There's a song that
Last summer, museum I work at in Matthews asked me to build a model of one of the boats built for the Virginia State Navy in Matthews County. All right. So, gentleman provides me the information. He's a researcher for Colonial Williamsburg. This is his rendering. All right. So, boat's more or less a test kit. The written description is the length and the beam. That's it. He's telling me the boat's flat bottom. Well, basically, you're clearly showing a keel on this. You've also got some rise in the bottom. All right, so they want to see my progress. Now, I've referenced the American Sailing Navy, small sailing vessels, and some other stuff. Naval history of the Chesapeake, the Revolutionary War, things like that. Got some other information. There were boats built and fought on Lake Champlain. Here's another rendering of another current bateau. All right, so that's not going to show good on reflection. So there's what we're dealing with. All right, so I go to show this. This isn't costing these folks anything. They don't like what I've done. They can't agree on the name of the vessel. It's a gondola, it's a longboat, it's a bateau, it's all right. We do know the boat would mount a small 3-pound gun forward. Was supposed to hold 40 men. That's some of the information. Now, mine doesn't quite look like the rendering. But again, this is just my prototype to see how everything was going to work out. But I'm about ready to tell them, go find somebody else. And when it comes time to vote on the fee for the boat, I'll turn that down. But it's started dealing with one client, so to speak, and I've got like 4 now. And it got ready to make you crazy.
And I milled all the lumber. It's pine and a little bit of bass wood. Had some issues with the saw. That's what's putty's for. Now, the other thing is this vessel was probably never painted. It's probably going to get covered up with a mix of linseed oil and turpentine or some other product. That's what the folks at the American Revolutionary War Museum, our naval guys, telling me. It's probably what happened. So 4 of these boats were completed. They went up Carter's Creek towards Williamsburg, and they were never seen or heard from again. We don't really know what happened to them. Matthews built several other larger vessels for the Virginia State Navy during the American War for Independence. But it's kind of been fun to play with. It's my first plank frame type thing. I may get real adventurous and try something else later. But
Did you make a jig for, like, I've seen boats, models of this type of boat built where they build it upside down and put the frames on a jig?
I could have done that, and maybe I should have, but I cut out all the ribs. And since I was told flat bottom, that's exactly what I did,
You started with the bottom first?
and just worked up from there. Now, the issue I have is I'm 10 scale feet versus 8. And I figured this out, and I've got all my sketches and everything. I don't know how I did that. That's the way it worked out. But it was actually kind of fun to do this. But it,
Nice.
I don't know if I'll finish it or not. I'm sorry?
Who are you building it for?
Matthews Maritime Museum. Just Matthews from colonial times up to prior to Civil War, we built 400 ocean-going vessels built in that county. You run out of timber, and prior to the Civil War, you switched to small boats. So, but, anyway, that's what I have. All right.
That's nice.
Get with it. Yes. All righty. Who's got the saw?
That's not a show and tell, that's the parts that I got at the auction.
Ah. Good, good. Taking it home. And did you want to show us anything on your
No,
kids?
no, it was just that question about the rest.
Show us your work.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is New York Pilot. First resin I ever worked with. Personally, I don't like it. But I did have a problem here. Some of the super glue resin got into planking and made it solid. So we was talking about uncure, trying to get that off. Maybe I'll help it. But it's just started. I got the, siding here. My terminology is not up to standard yet, so please forgive me.
Yeah.
But I do have the copper plating that goes on side. That's I'm going to work on next. And I'm not sure. I was thinking about like little rivets, looking like rivets. I couldn't figure it out. I was telling the guys over there that I took a hypodermic needle or like insulin, and I cut it, and it makes an impression of the rivets, pretty close to scale. And
What scale is this from?
not sure what scale is that.
Ones.
Yeah.
Okay, it is.
Yeah. And so I'm going between the Enterprise 350 and this. When I get bored or I need something for that, I jump to this, back and forth, back and forth. But this is to be the first rigging ever done.
Oh, very good.
And like I said, I picked up the kit for $10, so I'm not losing it. Except I'm gaining experience. So it's not bad.
Well, good, good. I appreciate it. Anybody else want to share anything? No? Well, why don't we take a short break? And John can, into the presentation. So, the next one.